Hi Aries, welcome to the channel. My name is Bella and I'll be doing your reading for today. So these are general, they may or may not resonate, these are timeless, so whenever you find them, they're meant for you, and the readings last about a week. So without further ado, let's get started. Let's see what we can get for Aries for the week ahead. Okay, you had two cards come out, Lion and Moth at the center of the situation. So just immediately from the imagery, you can see that the lion is sort of, I'm gonna say mesmerized, you know? That's the feeling that's coming through. It just seems like whatever's happening this week, Aries, you're really focusing in on something or someone. This could be a work opportunity, a school, a person, a group, you know, a thing perhaps. My readings work on multivocalic levels, so it can really be for multiple different situations. But in particular this week, I think what's drawing you in is the green, right? For me, green represents the heart chakra, so whatever's happening this week, Aries, it's drawing you in because it's somehow attached to your heart. I almost see like a red string attaching the moth to your heart, so I don't know what that's about. Let's see where you're coming from the past. Zebra, interesting. Aries, this is a really cryptic reading, like right off the bat. From the past, where you were coming from, I'm just being focused on the third eye of the zebra. I think you were in a really reminiscent or nostalgic time of your life where perhaps, you know, looking back on the glory years, or if not glory years, then back to a time when things made more sense, perhaps. Uh, there's just a real sense of almost going through like a time portal or something, if that makes sense. I'm almost seeing this like extend outwards, right? And you're almost traveling through a tunnel of the past, if that makes sense. So perhaps there were some things that just didn't sit right with you, that when you went back and you looked back at it from your new perspective, you really had to sort of, excuse me, reconcile things within yourself, you know? Sometimes reconciliation for me, it's not actually a person coming back or us going back to a person. It can simply be us reconciling within ourselves, you know? Um, and I'm hearing seeing clearly. So I don't know if in the past you saw either a situation, a group of people, a person, a place, or a thing in one type of way. The way I'm sort of being shown it in my mind is you had a pair of glasses that you were seeing the world through, and you almost got like a prescription change over these past few years. So now when you look at the same person, you're looking at them with new glasses, right? And I'm almost hearing it where it's like you're seeing them clearly now, right? Or if this is a person, place, thing, whatever it is, you're seeing it clearly. If you've ever had that happen to you where you're wearing your glasses and you think you can see clearly, everything looks, you know, somewhat normal, and then you go into the optometrist and they're like, actually, we need to up your prescription. And then when you get your glasses changed, everything becomes like 10 times clearer, you know? And you're like, how did I ever live before? How did I ever think I could see clearly? Like, this is what seeing clearly means, right? It's that kind of energy. It's that kind of, you know, life imitating art. So, a lot of clarity, Aries. You've gotten a lot of clarity in the past. And I think that's why right now in the present, um, you're being so drawn to this thing. Because I think when we see something from a new perspective, it's almost like meeting it for the first time. Do you know what I mean? Or, yeah, think about listening to your favorite song for the first time again. Right? It's one of those moments where, like, some things can never happen twice, but it's almost like this week you're being given an opportunity that's going to happen for you again. This reading is so cryptic, Aries. As the reader, I am just mesmerized, if you will. So let's see where you're heading in the future. Rabbit, interesting. So as you can see, the imagery of the lion card is almost mirrored in the rabbit. And you know what? The lions as well Libra, is mirrored in the zebra. You could be dealing with a Libra or someone with Libra placements. But with the rabbit card, I'm sensing that this is making a lot of sense. So do you see how the zebra has all this gray? The lines are gray, right? And then the lion has some yellow, orange, red. There's still a little bit of the gray. And then you go to the rabbit and it's just red, orange, purple. So the reason I'm bringing up this color transition is it's almost like the closer you get to the moth, person, place, or thing, the more, how do I say it? I guess the adrenaline, but it's a little bit more than adrenaline. It's like the nerves, the emotions, like everything starts to heat up, you know? Your Aries, your fire, right? The passion. So there's a little bit of, I guess, a slight warning. Make sure you're tempering yourself when you're around this thing. You don't want to be just, I don't know if you guys have seen it. This is a really funny reference that's coming into my mind. Wreck-It Ralph, when the virus is sort of, it's like the end of the movie, they throw something into the volcano and it becomes like a giant beacon. And all of the viruses are just like attracted to it, right? Make sure you're not just blindly going towards them, is what I'm trying to say, you know? Make sure you're not just blindly falling into this job opportunity, friend group, place, etc., right? Make sure your emotions, and I'm almost hearing like the intensity of it, make sure you keep sort of, as I said, temperance. Just temper your emotions a little bit. Make sure you're able to flow with them, right? And make sure they're not overwhelming. If you start to feel overwhelmed, Aries, take 3 steps back. You know, there's a saying in football, it's better to retreat a yard than a mile, right? So just retreat a yard if you're feeling too emotional, and then you can always come back and move many steps ahead. So let's see subconsciously where you're coming from. As I said, this reading is so cryptic. And we're already at like the 8-minute mark. So subconsciously, dear, okay. So subconsciously, I love this because it sort of tells me as the reader that you will be able to keep your emotions at a healthy level, right? And I'm not saying there's anything bad with having really strong emotions, right? There's nothing wrong with that at all. It's completely normal. It's human. But the reason I'm cautioning you is because sometimes when we feel a lot for someone, or we do have these extreme, intense emotions, we can make decisions that aren't the best for us, right? They say the best time to make a decision is when you're indifferent, because there's no bias, you can make it with a clear head, and you're most likely not going to regret it, right? And having the Deer card as your subconscious is amazing for me because it's telling me that you're going to handle this gracefully with utmost calmness. I don't know if you guys have ever seen deer or been close to deer before, but they're very peaceful in the way they'll walk by you. If you get too close, they'll run away, right? So I think you will be keeping this person at an arm's distance, but in a way that you can approach them slowly and they can approach you slowly, right? So you're not just a deer who's like sprinting away. There's a lot of balance in this reading that's sort of coming through. Just a lot of peace, if I'm honest, Aries. There's a lot of peace coming through. So let's see consciously what's crowning the reading. Oh, whale. Oh my god, this is really sweet, Aries. So having whale card crowning it, as I said, this whole reading, I was waiting for a water card to come out. I was really surprised one hadn't. Because, as I said, it seems like the closer you get to this thing, the more nervous or overwhelmed you get. And the thing that you get overwhelmed with is your emotions, right? This person, I don't know what it is, it could be a place, a thing, work, etc. Whatever it is, it triggers like an extreme emotional reaction from you. Um, and with the whale card, this for me does talk about suppression, right? Suppression, repression, one of them is conscious, one of them isn't. I am sensing this was more of a conscious repression, you know? For a long time, you were just pushing down the feelings, like, no, they're not there. Man, what are you talking about? Like, I'm fine, I'm cool. When in reality, if you've ever played water polo, or I used to be a swimmer, so I used to swim with flutterboards a lot. If you push a flutterboard underwater, right, the force in which it comes back up is almost double, if not more, right? It's just physics. So if you've been, you know, metaphorically, if your emotions were the flutterboard and you've just been pushing them down and down and down, and it's not like you've just pushed them down a little bit, Aries. You have the whale card. You've pushed it down to such an extreme that, you know, it makes sense that, like, because you've been repressing or suppressing your emotions for this person for so long, or place, or thing, or opportunity, when it does finally arrive, or you are finally in front of it, it's overwhelming, right? Because you've been pushing it down so far. So I think, as I said earlier, a way to deal with that sort of triggering moment is almost to step back. Um, just remind yourself, like, they're just a normal person. I know how cheesy that is, and when you really have feelings for someone, it's hard to rationalize that. But there's an amazing song by Neil Young called Like a Hurricane, and one of the lyrics is, "You could have been anyone to me." You know, the song sort of explains, like, when you fall in love with someone, or for me personally, these lyrics mean when you fall in love with someone, it's so unexpected and it's so, just for me personally, like a miracle. So they could have really been anyone. It could have been any stranger you fell in love with, but it happened to be that person, right? It's such a weird human notion, and it's all a part of the experience, but it's just, it's overwhelming sometimes. I totally get it. Yeah, so I think I'm gonna leave this reading here, Aries. Thank you so much for watching. I hope something resonated or helped you out, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye, guys.